imperial garrison housed in a Khajiiti estate. My half-sister spared no expense, I see. Prefect Kalo commands a full complement of soldiers, mostly seasoned Imperials and not the Nibonese mercenaries that make up Euraxia's main forces. It's probable that Solinia and her assassination squad is here as well, so I advise caution. I prefer to avoid unnecessary bloodshed, of course, but these are enemy forces. We must do what we must to complete our mission. I'll work my way down from the upper levels of the house. You find your own entrance and we'll meet somewhere inside. Try not to alert the entire garrison to our presence, and keep an eye out for Captain Solinia or anything related to Euraxia's final order. We need to determine where the assassination squad plans to strike if we're going to save the Dragon Guard. As I said, the Dragon Guard I knew were the Emperor's protectors. I suspect this has more to do with legends that speak of their role as dragon hunters of old. Idle speculation isn't going to accomplish anything. If I were younger... I feel the weight of my years, and it gets worse the longer this goes on. In my younger days, I would have already corralled the dragons and banished the necromancers to a forgotten plane of oblivion. Enough of this. I'll meet you inside.
Time to make me a fur coat. One of Kalo's pet cats. Time to make me a fur coat.
Now, join me. Let's talk. We need to speak quickly. I doubt I'll remain undiscovered for very long. This projection, A simple spell. Nothing to it, really. But that's not what I want to discuss. I'm hiding in an empty servant's quarters at the moment. I discovered that Prefect Kalo is no longer in charge here. In fact, he's been arrested. That's the thing. Prefect Kalo isn't really one of the Euraxians. His cohort of Imperials accompanied my half-sister into Rimmon, but he's been a vocal opponent of her coup and subsequent claim of rulership. Apparently, he refused another order. Kalo's probably being held on one of the lower levels. See if you can find him. He should be able to tell us more about the Dragon Guard and Solinia's orders. Wait a moment. I'm about to have company. I'll find my way to you as soon as I can.
Interesting. You're not one of Euraxia's mercenaries. I'm Prefect Kalo, commander of the Cygnus Irregulars. And you're that outsider working with the Khajiit militia. I expected you hours ago. Well, let's not dawdle. You have an assassination squad to stop, I assume, so if you'd open my cell? It's elementary. I pay attention to every significant event that occurs in the region. Comes with my job description. I have agents, spies, and informers from Riverhold to Rimmon. The dossier on you could choke a Wamasu. Now, about this door? I'm an Imperial without an Emperor. My cohort was assigned to accompany Euraxia on a fact-finding mission. She turned it into a conquest. I tried to temper her more violent tendencies, but her mercenaries outnumber my legionaries by a wide margin. I refused to direct order. Wouldn't give Solinia my soldiers or my file on the last Dragon Guard. So, here I am. How about this? You can find a copy of the report in my office. If the information it contains helps you, then come back and set me free. I'm a reasonable man. I have no great love for this land, but neither do I want to see it destroyed. Dragons were the last straw. In other words, this is me making a stand. You can find a copy of the Dragon Guard report in my office upstairs. Conquer Rimmon? Euraxia was sent on Imperial business to a province that owed us fealty. There was no reason to conquer a place we historically controlled. No. She decided to make her own play for power while Emperor Vera... It was complicated. Look, our quick visit turned into an invasion. Euraxia contracted an army of Nibonese mercenaries to back her up. And then the Emperor disappeared and his empire collapsed. Not much. I never got around to reviewing the report. You can read it yourself in my office. For some reason, this rumor of a last Dragon Guard inspired you. She burst into my office with orders from Euraxia, demanded I provide soldiers to support her assassination squad, then commanded that an elite unit of mercenaries. They're rabid dogs that Euraxia points at her enemies. They like to kill, and they're extremely good at it. With the urging of the dragons, well, that puts a new spin on the situation. Solinia took my file. Then she and her soldiers went to assassinate this supposed I see you found the report. Now we can continue our conversation without being separated by those inconvenient bars.
And I see you captured Prefect Kalo. I presume he surrendered without a fight?
Don't look so shocked. My irregulars are very good at what they do. It was simple enough for them to sneak in and set me free. Now, what did you learn from the report? Anything that will help us stop Captain Solinia and her assassination squad? As I said, we were never willing participants in Euraxia's conquest of Northern Elsewhere. My irregulars did as little as possible to advance her agenda, and we worked to sabotage it as often as not. Besides, have you forgotten about the dragons? The dragons won't stop after they kill or subjugate the Khajiit. We're in as much danger as everyone else. If Lord Garesh-Ri pardons my soldiers, we'll help fight the dragons. But we're going to need the Dragon Guard. Do you know where he is? Grand Chancellor, I propose that you get Garesh-Ri to pardon the Cygnus Irregulars so we can form an alliance.
An alliance? Interesting. Comrades would be helpful in the battles to come. I'll return to Rimmon, plead Kalo's case, and send someone to help you. Meanwhile, I suggest you start your search for the shrine at the Stitches. I'll take the Prefect to Rimmon and see if I can negotiate an alliance between him and Chimera. We could use the help, but I'm not sure our young queen will agree. Meanwhile, you need to go to the Scar and find that shrine before the assassins do. Well, news of Euraxia's death has reached her mercenaries. For the most part, they've decided that Zumog Foom is their new leader, and they're willing to do whatever the dragons trust. We'll have to see. From what I've learned here in the manor, though, it's evident that mistakes happen. They're a fact of life. But Prefect Kalo is a trained Imperial soldier. I know.
Tarn sent Zamorak to assist you against the Euraxian officers Saulinia and her assassins. The locals say that a group matching their description passed through here a short time ago. Tarn explained that we seek a hidden Akaviri shrine. Saulinia, the assassin who murdered King Hemakar and Queen Numara. Zamorak heard that name often on the day of Euraxia's coup. Perhaps this one can finally get justice for the royal family. No. Zamorak was guarding Kamira that day. We were far from the palace. Anyway, this one learned that the local crime lord provided Saulinia with guides who know the Scar well. We must hurry if we hope to catch them. The Scar can be a treacherous place, Five Claw, even without the addition of a Nibonese assassination squad. We need to hurry, but we should also proceed with caution. King Hemakar saw something in Zamorak. He specifically requested this one during a visit to the Desert Wind. Zamorak set aside his studies and devotions to become the King's Claw. I pledged my life to keep the royal family safe. No. Kamira wanted to visit the Desert Wind Adeptorium. This one was tasked to guard her. So, Zamorak was not in the palace when Euraxia and her troops arrived. They were welcomed as emissaries of the Emperor. But they were lions about to pounce. A small success in an avalanche of failure. Guilt consumed Zamorak because he lived and the royal family died. So this one exiled himself from the land he loved and traveled the world. This one sought... what? Peace. Forgiveness. Something. The scar was carved across the face of an Equina in the ancient past. Some say Kunzari is responsible. Others that Alkosh himself marked the land with his claws. Things live in the deepest cracks and crevices that we would do well to avoid. Truthfully, Zamorak almost refused when Tarn gave the order. This one has only just reclaimed the mantle of King's Claw. And yes, but Zamorak isn't sure if anything good will come of their meeting. When this one departed, Queen Kamira...
Did you really destroy the Daedric portal at Moonhenge? All by yourself?
Wait, that body. It's one of the assassins. They must have passed this way. More bodies. The hired guides. Saulinia's work, Zamorak thinks. Look! There is a door behind these stones. Is this the place we seek? That door. Not even all of Zamorak's strength and training can budge a magical barrier. Maybe the pedestal. The pedestal maintains the magical barrier, but Zamorak does not know how.
Find the Dragon Guard, or his blood won't be the only thing that stains my blade this day.
The assassins. That came from the south. We must hurry, Five Claw. The assassins. They stalk the southern passages. We must hurry. There may be another way past this door, deeper. Whatever has been hiding behind that door for all these years can wait a little longer. We need to deal with the assassins. Traps. They stopped some of the assassins, but not all of them. We must be wary.
Couldn't find an Alfican alabaster, you Roxian dolt?
That was the Dragon Guard. We're running out of time. Another maze. We must find a way to the other side. That was the dragon.
Once I select a target, it always dies.
I trained to fight dragons. This isn't going to end the way you expect.
Now, Dragon Guard, you and your order die. Oh, good. More blood.
Thank you,
You're that assassin.
Maybe now the royal family can rest in peace. Thank you, Five Claw. With Saulinia dead, maybe the royal family can finally rest in peace. Zamarak. There was a heaviness on Zamarak's soul. Now it disperses like sand in the wind. Still, yes. But Zamarak believed his previous life of violence caused those deaths. His studies and meditations told him this was so. Now, with Saulinia's death, Zamarak feels lighter. It feels good, but it also feels like a betrayal of the desert wind. You are right, Five Claw. Violence is never the best way to solve a problem. It only leads to grief.
Oh, damn assassin. She knew her stuff. I saw her fall, though. Thanks for that. After all these years, why do I suddenly have so much company? I know about the dragons. I sent word to the other sanctuaries. The last. I didn't think so. But no one else has responded. Maybe. No. I know at least one other is still out there. He'll come. He has to. Take my ring. It will open the sanctuary. Find the dragon horn. You have to. Have to.
May Kenarthi guide you to the sands behind the stars. Below. That looks like Prefect Kalo. What is he doing here?
Ah, there you are. We came as soon as we could. Were you able to stop Captain Solinia and her assassins? Both dead? Solinia deserved it. A shame about the Dragon Guard, though. And yes, it took some convincing and Tharn's most diplomatic negotiation tactics, but Queen Chimera has accepted our help. Provisionally. The Cygnus Irregulars are on probation. For now. Once Queen Chimera sees us in action, I'm sure she'll come around. Until then, I wanted to make sure you are all right. Beating Solinia is no small feat. I'm sorry we lost the Dragon Guard, though. A Dragonhorn? Like the one at Starhaven Adeptorium? Huh. Well, if you think this old relic can help, lead the way.
The barrier has fallen. Save the light within.
Are these the remains of the Dragon Guard? Books and scrolls. I knew it. Knowledge is power, my friend. You'll see.
Do not hesitate. Such a small thing when compared to the dragons. Still, we should take it to Rimmon, yes?
I want to take another look at these books. We'll meet you back in Rimmon. Well, now that you have the Dragonhorn, we're in a Dragon Guard sanctuary. Old relics like this Dragonhorn are all well and good, but Dragon Guard, Akaviri, ancient Nord warriors, someone battled the dragons successfully.
This Dragonhorn, it is different from the one at Starhaven. It has no light, an adeptorium. Zamorak stayed there. Zamorak cannot explain it. I do not remember the large horn having a detachable small horn, but I did not examine it too closely. When this one...
It's happening again. I see a dragon.
Cadwell? Cadwell? What was that about a dragon? Ah, there you are. See to Cadwell, if you would. Then join us in the throne room for the War Council.
Hello? Is someone there? I appear to be back in my head. Well, my other head. The other head. This is so confusing. Ah, wait. Things are becoming clearer now. Yes, well, there you are. Oh, so good to see you again, my friend. I saw that nasty orc necromancer, Zumog Foom. He really is a despicable fellow. And there was a dragon, a huge, powerful, eyes as big as a house dragon. They called it Carl Grunted, means champion of the bound time. How do I know these things? Well, yes, I did. Seems the ears are as connected as the eyes. They talked about the moons, something about an eclipse and the perfect time to use the gate. I remember something about that from when I was the betrayer, but the details are hazy. My memory returns in dribs and drabs, but I'm not sure that's a good thing. If I remember anything helpful, though, I'll let you know. Where are my manners? They're waiting for you. Queen Chimera has called another war council in the throne room. Not a clue, but I know one way to find out. Head inside and see what the Cat Queen has to say.
The archives were extremely helpful once I found the appropriate documents.
Our moon singers and moon priests have always paid particular attention to detail. What did you learn?
Tharn found documents regarding an ancient agreement with the Dragon Guard. They apparently provided a weapon to use against the dragons.
This relates to the legends of Kunzari and Queen Anequina, yes?
Pardon the interruption, Queen Chimera, but that sounds like the dragon horn we found. That dragon guard didn't survive, but he gave us the Anequina dragon horn.
So this alliance I reluctantly agreed to has borne fruit.
The Cygnus Irregulars assisted, but your agent did the important work.
A weapon from the Dragon Guard. Interesting. Come, Fiveclaw. I want to hear your report. Agreeing to an alliance with Imperials. At least it appears this Prefect Kalo assisted you. Tell me what happened out there, Fiveclaw. I want to hear it from you. So that is the dragon horn. It is much smaller than I thought it would be, and it looks fragile. Sound it once and it will probably crumble to dust. What are we supposed to do with such a thing? As always, you have my thanks, Fiveclaw. Euraxia hoped to appease the dragons by assassinating the last Dragon Guard of Elsewhere. He died, but at least you acquired the Anequina Dragonhorn and avenged his death. Now if we only knew what to do with the damn thing. I know how a horn works, Fiveclaw, but this is a relic of ancient magic. I do not want to damage it before we learn the true significance of its power. I will have Tarn do more research. In the meantime, we have another matter to deal with. Cadwell's visions strike more frequently now, with more urgency. Tarn believes Zumog Foom is close to reassembling Cadwell's dismembered body. I want you to stop him. The betrayer of legend must not be reborn. Abner Tarn checks on Cadwell regularly. Find them and see if they can tell you where Zumog Foom hides. Meanwhile, I will consult with Gareshri. Review the Kunzari stories before we task Tarn with learning more about the Dragonhorn. A little. There was a similar relic at Starhaven Adeptorium, but I never gave it much thought. It was just there, another memento of a mostly forgotten past. The one you brought us. It bears the name of an Equina. An Equina is the name of our kingdom, the northern half of Elsewhere. It grew out of one of the 16 original prides and was named after my ancestor, an Equina Sharptongue. She was one of the ancient heroes, a member of Kunzari's Krajan. Legends and myths make up a great part of who we are, Five Claw. For the Khajiit, the truth of our stories is the truth, pure and simple. The return of the dragons began with the tales of Kunzari, and I expect it to end there as well. No. Kunzari and his company of heroes predate the arrival of the Akaviri and Tamriel. It was the Akaviri who gave rise to the Dragon Guard and revealed the secrets of the Dragonhorn. As I understand it, the Starhaven Dragonhorn was a gift. From the ancient order of the Dragon Guard, if I remember what the adept at Starhaven once told me, I assume the same is true of the Anequina Dragonhorn. It's too bad the Dragon Guard you met did not live long enough to tell you more.
Old varlet! Don't you dare attach that foot to my ankle!
This is Cadwell's longest episode yet. Perhaps I can...
That's it! Time to give you knaves what for!
Bizarre visions, dismembered bodies. I hate necromancy. Cadwell trusts you, Five Claw. You talk to him.
So that's a soul shriven. I've heard of such creatures, of course, but I never expected to see one. Especially not among the leaders of the Khajiit resistance.
Zamorak feels like he should hit something in this situation, but the necromancer is not here.
These episodes of Cadwell's, they are disturbing. Talk to him, Five Claw. Get him to explain exactly what he sees.
See if you can help Cadwell snap out of his latest vision. If he cannot break the connection, we may have to rely on more drastic means.
Cadwell keeps moving around. He won't stand still long enough for me to cast a scrying spell. Talk to him and see if you can distract him.
Who's there? Speak up! I'm about to teach these rapscallions a valuable lesson. And yes, I plan to make it hurt. Ah, jolly good. I could use a noble squire for the battle ahead. To battle ahead? Anyway, Zumok Fu has gathered the dismembered parts of the betrayer's body. I can't allow the necromancer to put me, back together. I'm not entirely certain. It's definitely a dark, menacing cavern. Just the sort of place necromancers enjoy hanging around. Oh! Here now! Stop that! Your pardon, noble squire, but I have to go kick myself in the head. I'm off to put a stop to these dastardly villains!
Tarn, can you determine where Cadwell disappeared to?
Of all the foolish, idiotic, misguided things that Cadwell has ever done, this may be the worst of them all. He fancies himself a hero, but he's given Zumog Foom exactly what he needed. I'm no expert on necromancy, but it's obvious that our Cadwell is the last piece Zumog Foom needs to restore the betrayer. He has all the parts of Cadwell's dismembered body, and now Cadwell has handed him the final component, his very essence. Does a soul shriven have a soul? I have no idea how the philosophy of oblivion accounts for such things, but there must be some kernel of the original Cadwell inside the one we know. It stands to reason The necromancer would need that as well. I managed to scry Cadwell's portal before it winked out. It connected to an ancient crypt in the Scar, not far from the Stitches. Head there immediately. The rest of us will make preparations and join you as soon as we can. You took your time. Let's talk. Travel never used to take this much out of me. Oh well. Now that you're here, we can begin our investigation of the crypt. The Adept and the Prefect volunteered to scout ahead. They haven't returned. That means it's up to us. We must stop Zumog Foom from reanimating Cadwell the Betrayer. Something has prevented them from returning. I can only assume the necromancers or their undead have done them in. Where they were forestalled, we must prevail. Otherwise, Zumog Foom and the dragons get one. Don't be a fool. Our first priority is to stop Zumog Foom and keep him from aiding the dragons. After that, we can... Cadwell, what happened to you?
Ah, little spot. They ripped it out of me. I'm afraid I bungled this one royally, old friend. I opened a portal, meant to put the villainous Zumog Foom to the sword. He got the better of me. The necromancer stole my essence, flung it to assorted ritual sites throughout the lair. Now I'm weak and my old body is being restored. The big cat and the Imperial, they arrived shortly after I did, but they didn't fare much better. I'm not sure what Zumog Foom did with them. I've just been standing here trying to recover enough strength to give it another go. Charge me up again? Capital idea, and I agree. We can't let them betray.
I'll delay Zumog Foom's ritual as long as I can. You take Cadwell and see if you can recover it.
You dust to die, Kano.
Our blood is on your hands.
No! I won't allow you to interfere with the ritual!
That glowing cloud. It's holding this ritual together.
How refreshing. Let's find the rest of me and put it back where it belongs.
Those soldiers were under my command. They died following my orders. Thank you for releasing me from that. Other than torturing me, I think it was part of a larger ritual being performed by Zumog Fum. They were using my suffering, merging it with Cadwell's energy to... I don't know, it felt like something was feeding from me. Fum's followers fell upon us the moment we entered the crypts. We never stood a chance. They dragged us in different directions and immediately began the ritual.
You were never strong enough, Zamorak. I died because you were weak. Praying to the moons won't save you.
Zamorak failed.
Ah, welcome back, little energy. I missed you so.
Zamorak always fails the ones who count on him the most. Careful, Walker. You do not know the burden that Zamorak carries. The guilt Zamorak feels whenever he remembers those he failed. How dare you say... No. No, you are right to chide Zamorak. This one let the necromancers wield his guilt against him. Never again. The scent of death and decay is stronger through that door. Go. Stop Zumog Fum. Zamorak.
You're a senile old fool, half-brother. How could you be so reckless? The dragons are your fault! Your past will destroy you, Avatar.
Get rid of that damn cloud!
Oh, that hits the spot. Did you know I used to be a High Chancellor? No, wait. No, that belongs to Abner.
Zumog Fum is stronger than I anticipated. Or perhaps my powers have degraded more than I realized. Either way, you arrived just in time. If I had to listen to my half-sister prattle on for an instant longer, I would have chewed my own arm off. Believe me, it wasn't my intent when I opened the portal. Fum used a siphoning ward of some sort. It redirected my spell and trapped me in that cloud of energy. I really have no idea. Perhaps it was an echo pulled from my deepest, most morose memories.
5 claw. This one doesn't have much time. Nalado should not be here. This one should be prowling the sand behind the stars and preparing for the next pounce, not lingering in this fetid tomb. Zumag Fum called Nalado back. He planned to use her in a foul ritual, but dead or no, Nalado is still a soldier. His follower never stood a chance. This one sensed something. Decided to wait here a little longer. Nalado thought the cloud of energy reminded her of the strange knight adorned in cookware. This one thinks she absorbed the energy when she killed the necromancer and disrupted this return it. Perhaps, though that will certainly shred this spirit form. No matter, Nalado no longer belongs in this realm. Tell Queen Carmira and Garashri that Nalado says farewell. Now, prepare yourself, strange knight. This belongs to you.
You really think you can stop me? Neither you nor that bumbling court stand a chance.
I never... I'll have you know, I'm barely water to
Nothing as a tough death blow free. You can't exist in the same reality, soul shriven. The stronger the betrayer becomes, the weaker you will grow. I'm fading away.
Oh, jolly good shell. Of course I planned to deal with the orc myself once my reanimation was complete. Now that I'm whole, I have a destiny to fulfill. So, cheerio. I always heard that introspection could be difficult, but meeting yourself, no one likes to discover that they were a tallow catch. Try not to hold it against me. Him and me with two sides of a dented coin. I don't think the world can handle more than one Cadwell at a time. My essence, I feel it draining away. Strange as the end approaches, so does clarity. You will try to stop it for me, won't you? Finish what I started a long, long time ago. I remember how we stopped the dragons. Kunzari and I, we tricked Count Gronti, used his own ambition against him, convinced him to place a portion of his power in Jode's court. Count Gronti ordered his brothers to follow suit. Once weakened, we were able to trap them in the halls of Colossus. Then the betrayer, then I killed Kunzari. I earned that name. I plan to steal the power, but Anequina's adepts. I'm still here. Chimera. She looks like Anequina. So pretty. Anequina possessed a key to a special place. That's where I learned to use portal. Luckily, they cut off my head and dismembered me before I could reach Jode's core. I guess you have to chop him up again. Tell Chimera she has the key, and look out for the little honor.
Could that be the key to using the dragon home?
The same notion occurred to me, Queen Chimera.
Wait, here comes Tarn and the others. Five Claw, talk to me. I am happy to see you and the others, Five Claw, and I'm eager to hear what happened. Wait, where is Cadwell? That does not bode well. The betrayer of Kunzari was a great hero who became a terrible villain. It took all the remaining champions and the moon priests of Anequina to stop him. But how does the betrayer's return help the dragons? A special place? That does not give us a lot of information to go on, Five Claw. Did Cadwell tell you anything else before he disappeared? The ancient legends. I have been studying them. They mention Jode's core, a vault of some kind. Kunzari tricked the demons into storing their power there, though now we know that the demons were dragons. A metaphor, yes? As for a key... Everyone, meet in the royal study. I have something to show you. Cadwell spoke of Anequina, one of Kunzari's champions. He mentioned a key. I think he meant my pendant.
Zamorak remembers. Your mother wore it before you. Does it have more than sentimental significance?
It hides me from magical detection. Mother would take my pendant in her hand and whisper, "When Kunzari smiled, Anequina asked the moons to move for him."
The Shadow Dance Temple ruins? Is that where the betrayer has gone?
I discovered as a young girl that the pendant and this ancient map interact in interesting ways.
Interesting. A magic pendant. I want...
Zamorak remembers Chimera's pendant. Her mother,
I learned the stories of Kunzari from my mother. Did I tell you she was a moon singer before she married my father? She said the pendant once belonged to Anequina. I am related to Anequina. Direct descendant, according to the moon priests. An ancient ruin. The place was once the Shadow Dance Temple, but now it is nothing but tumbled stones. Still, Cadwell indicated the pendant was the key to finding the betrayer. What else do we have to go on? Yes, from Kunzari's story. He tricked the demons into giving him their power. Then Anequina moved the moon so he could store the power in Jode's core for safekeeping. Of course, now we know the demons of the story were actually the dragons. In their weakened state, Kunzari was able to trick the dragons and trap them in the halls of Colossus. But one of his companions betrayed him, stabbed him in the back, and went to the place of the Dark Dance to steal the demon power. I think you're right, Five Claw. The betrayer must want to finish what he started in the ancient time. But the dragons also want that power. Are they working together? Either way, we need to get to the temple ruins. As we saw on the map, the ruins lie in the foothills east of the Scar, between Orcrest and the town of Hakoshe. We will meet you there.
We need to send your Cygnus irregulars to the Moongate, Prefect Kalo.
Agreed. We've been practicing in anticipation of joining forces for more than a year.
A year? But a year ago we were still enemies.
Perhaps. But I always knew we'd wind up fighting the Iraxians side by side someday. There aren't a lot of us, but the Cygnus irregulars will stand with Queen Chimera's forces at the Moongate of Anek.
Prefect Kalo is a very complicated person. I think you made the right choice when you sent him to Queen Chimera. His soldiers will help bolster our defense of the Moongate of Anequina, in case the dragons move against it. Before you eliminated the usurper queen, you heard her talking to... Not yet.
Ooh, the proud...
It is time for this one to share lore about Alkosh, the Dragon King of Cats. Hey Heeb.
For now, where is the food?
Alkosh? I'd rather be chased by guards than listen to this religious trek.
This one wonders why any would even try to teach this. This one teaches those who... About our pantheon, starting from the beginning with You are right. Perhaps this one should start with Serendar, the god of mercy.
This priest does not... Yes.
The diva considered making a break for it, but this one... Oh, this bloviating Bandar's exile? I learned all this as a child. I don't care to hear it again. Hold on. You're working with the moon.
Yeah!
Chimera's waiting for you inside. If the dragon circling overhead spots us, I'll try to drive it off.
Zamorak will assist.
Yes, I'm sure your fists will make all the difference.
Zamorak will assist Tharn against the dragons. In the meantime, you should go inside. Queen Kamira is waiting.
The dragons are definitely anxious about something. No sign of the betrayer, though. Go inside and help.
If there is more to this ancient temple, I do not see a way to access it. This is the right place. I can sense it. But nothing in this chamber looks like it can make the moons move, or open a path to Joan or Jode. What are we missing, Fiveclaw? And Riddlethar knows I have tried everything I can think of. I held it out, I presented it forcefully, I even shook it vigorously, but nothing happened. I do not know what else to do. My memories and the Kunzari stories, everything jumbles together. Too much research has crowded my mind. Wait, maybe... I remember one thing Mother used to say. Maybe if I repeat her words while I hold the pendant. When a Nequina's blood calls, the shadow dance begins.
By the moons, you open the path.
You go ahead. Zamorak and I will deal with the dragon outside. Somehow.
Moons watch over you. Come, Fiveclaw. Let us see where this leads. Beautiful. Why was this hidden for so long? This place has guardians, it seems, but they could not stop the betrayer. The betrayer sent. He came this way. That relic. See what you can make of it, Fiveclaw. The spirits awakened. The temple recognized me. I am becoming attuned.
you're part of Kunzari's Krajun. Why are you doing this?
I want what Kunzari hid away, and I need to move the moons to reach it. If a few cats must die along the way, what of it?
You're insane!
You talk to your new god like that? Manners!
The temple. It shows us how the betrayer became attuned. Another temple relic. Activated with 5 claw. I understand. Moving the moons causes an eclipse. That opens the way to Jode's core. The betrayal, the attunement process. The betrayer was all...
It's almost a shame how Enequina's faithful keep throwing themselves at my blade. Almost.
Temple relic. There it is. Activate it, please. Now, we need to reach the temple sanctuary. The attunement is complete. I feel a deeper connection now to Anequina and my... We must go to the... Wait, my friend. Let us talk before we confront the betrayer. The ancient memories become clearer in my mind with every passing moment. We follow the same path as the heroes of legend. Kunzari, Anequina, the betrayer, they all walked these steps to reach Jode's core. I see the truth of the myths and legends. Kunzari tricked Calcrontid into storing the might of the dragons in Jode's core. Then, the heroes of the Krajun lured them into the halls of Colossus and sealed the doors. Yes, he murdered Kunzari and then came to this temple to gain the power to move the moons and open the way to Jode's core. You see, the path only appears at the moon gate of Anequina when the moons are aligned, as in an eclipse. True. But many died before they lopped off his head. The betrayer was the greatest warrior of his day. If it comes to a battle, it will not be an easy one. There is an apparatus in the sanctuary, linked to the larger moon gate. That is what we seek. We are about to enter the place where the betrayer faced his greatest failure. Where he died at the hands of the remaining heroes and moon priests. We must make sure history repeats itself. The shade of Anequina darkens with rage whenever I think about him. Even before his betrayal, she detested the man. He was vain, proud, a great sword fighter, but full of ego and hubris. Perhaps that...
Too late! Fools! Not it! I'm going to share the power with the dragon! Smack them!
I cannot stop the eclipse!
The betrayer did something to the apparatus. The moons cannot hear my plea. No. The betrayer has set the moons in motion, and they will not answer to my song. There is nothing to stop the dragons from using the moon gate of Anequina to reach Jode's core. Not yet. This apparatus moves the moons, but the moon gate of Anequina creates the portal to Jode's core. Luckily, I sent forces there to defend it from the dragons. We will join them. But first, the memories tell me we have one more task here. Anequina's memories show me how she once used a dragon horn. The combat dragon horn you gave me. It needs to be energized, have its power restored. Activate the nearby temple relic, and I will charge the dragon horn. Anequina, Cadwell, John, and Jode. All of it into the dragon horn.
A dip in cold water's refreshing pleasant, and I'm fit as a fig tree. Now, where's the evil me? Where is the fiend? Let me at him. I returned as soon as I could to help you give the betrayer a good threat. I feel tip-top, I must say. I thought it was the cozy confines of my beloved Cold Harbor, but I suppose it has more to do with the destruction of my other half. Well, good show. The world is saved. That doesn't sound good. Let me think. If I concentrate, I can recall what was going through my despicable other self's mind. He wanted to make sure no one could stop the path from opening. He promised the dragons. I'm afraid not, at least not from here. He did something to the apparatus. It can't be used again. Chimera might be able to separate the moons, but she'd need to do it at the moon gate. She looks a little peaked, though, doesn't she?
I am all right. Cadwell, can we use your portal to return to Riemann?
Of course, Chimera. It's ready. I feel like 1,000 pieces of gold. Just delightful.
The eclipse approaches, and with it the opening of the moon gate of Anequina. We have a short amount of time before the way to Jode's core appears. At least I am attuned, and I was able to charge the Dragonhorn. Gareshri has already gone to the moon gate of Anequina to take charge of the forces there. We will join him shortly. Thank you for helping with my attunement, Fiveclaw. With you and my ancestors beside me, we will find a way to stop the dragons. We stopped the betrayer, but not before he set the moons in motion. Soon they will align. When the eclipse occurs, the moon gate of Anequina will open and grant access to Jode's core, which is exactly what the dragons desire. Some, but not a lot. Luckily, we anticipated the connection to the moon gate and sent Gareshri ahead with whatever forces we could spare, which was not as much as I would like. The combat Dragonhorn is charged, but we still do not know its full capabilities. We must not waste its energy, so we will save it until absolutely necessary. We should make our way to the moon gate now. Tell our companions, it is time. Our companions left the palace to wander Rimmen and consider what is to come. Find Abner Tarn, Zamorak, and Prefect Kalo. Cadwell too, if he is still around. I would like them to join us at the moon gate, but will understand if they decide not to. The ancient structure rises out of the jungle far to the southwest. To think, a place known primarily as a pilgrimage stop and historical curiosity may turn out to be the site of Elswere's most crucial battle yet. The moon gates are among the oldest ruins in Elswere. Of the few sites we know of, the Anequina ruin is the most well-preserved. Moon priests consider it sacred. The Riddlethar ties it to the lattice. The rest of us, we see a pile of old rocks. I can only tell you what I experienced. I became one with the temple. With all its memories and past experiences, I connected with my bloodline, with the first Anequina herself. I was attuned. I underwent the process of attunement, the same as Anequina and the moon priests of the temple, the same as Cadwell. I know how to make the moons move, provided we find a working lunar lattice apparatus. Some of the stories about Anequina speak of her teleporting from place to place. I see something about portals, but it does not make much sense. Perhaps when I have had 1,000 years to practice, I will be as competent as Cadwell, yes?
Quiet moments to meditate have been rare since Zamorak returned to Elswere. This one needed some time alone, especially after helping Tharn with the dragon at the Shadow Dance ruins. But you look like one who has important news. Zamorak suspected that would be our next destination. This one noticed that the moons have shifted in the sky, moving in a way that breaks their usual pattern. The betrayer's doing, yes? At least you and Queen Camira returned from the ruins. Then we still have a chance. Zamorak has pledged his honor to Queen Kamira. He will not break that vow. This one has a purpose again, and will see it through no matter the cost. Zamorak, Queen Kamira, attuned to the lunar lattice. Zamorak never expected to see such a miracle in his lifetime. This one prays that it will be enough when we stand against the dragons. About what you would expect. Tharn used flashy spells to confuse the dragon until it finally gave up and flew away. Then, we encountered the squad of Euraxians led by a necromancer. Those Zamorak dispatched. It was the least this one could do.
Hello, come to partake in a before-the-battle cleansing? I find it prudent to make myself pristine prior to the start of a slaughter. In my experience, the subsequent blood and gore adheres much better to a well-laundered body. The Moongate. I hope to wash away the memories of the betrayer, if some stenches can't be removed with soap and water. I'm sorry I made the moons move, my friend. Sorry I helped the dragons. But before I became the gallantly gaunt, soul-shriven form you see today, I was the betrayer. I originally did all the terrible deeds that led us to this place. I'm rather ashamed. Dash it all. Yes, of course, that was my plan all along. Make up for my past atrocities by helping the nice cat people defeat the evil dragons, just like the hero I was before I became the betrayer. Tally-ho, then. I'll head to the Moongate now and meet you there. As nice as these facilities are, I miss the boiling plasm pools of Cold Harbor, hot enough to melt the skin right off your bones. What an invigorating sensation. And your point is?
Quiet moments between battles. I like to spend the time catching up on my reading. History, military strategy, recipe books. My secret pleasure is a good mystery, though. And the new Investigator Veil is a real page-turner. I've been waiting for the order to move out. I sent most of the Cygnus irregulars on ahead with Gareshri, but a small contingent remained here in case our earlier guess was wrong. I assume events in the ruins confirmed our theory? Understood. We need to defend the Moongate and stop the dragons from using it when it opens. Keep them from reaching Jode's core. Well, at least now we have a mission. And just hope the Khajiit can get over their aversion to working with my troops. Queen Euraxia's tyranny made the Khajiit wary. I don't blame them for that. I just want to show them that not all Imperials are tyrants. That they can trust at least a few of us. It will come. As long as we don't turn on each other first.
I wish I would.
Wine used to rejuvenate me after periods of intense exertion and spellcasting. Now I can barely taste the stuff. A good thing too. Khajiiti wine is cloyingly sweet, like drinking candied plums boiled in moon sugar. I presume you have news? The Moongate? A noble but futile proposition, I fear. The Khajiit should pack up and flee while they still can. Let the Alliance armies deal with this. Show them some fights are more important than deciding whose posterior best fits the Ruby Throne. No. Just pondering other options. Too much of what we're facing was the inadvertent result of my actions or the actions of my family. Dragons, Euraxians, necromancers. The responsibility falls to me, and balance must be restored. Would you stand a chance otherwise? Without my arcane and strategic insights, anything you try is destined to fail. I won't have that on my conscience. Now, allow me to finish this sickeningly sweet inebriant, one last indulgence before the end. By the way, I believe I understand the purpose of the Dragonhorn. After much consideration, the use and function of the ancient instrument has become clear. Theoretical knowledge isn't the same as practical experience, but I believe I understand the fundamentals of its operation. The Dragon Guard prepared a horn taken from a massive dragon and engraved it with arcane runes, giving it astonishing power. Oh yes, I'm fairly certain of that. And I found historical references indicating the Dragon Guard gifted such relics to key locations, for their protection, you see. The one you located was originally in Rimmen before it was moved to the Sanctuary. We have neither the time nor resources to move the large relic, but the small horn you brought back, it's called a combat horn, by the way, was designed to be carried into battle. Once charged with energy, its sound weakens dragons. One problem solved then. The next is sheer age. This ancient combat horn is exceedingly fragile. I'm not sure how many times we can sound the horn before it disintegrates into dust. For that reason, I suggest we save it until we absolutely need it.
Yushiha has come to return her debt to you. Zumog Fum is dead, but those he serves still seek to ruin all we hold dear. What strength? Returning to the world has not been easy. Very little is as she remembers. She does not belong here. Yet she has nothing, and no one to return to. Yushiha is not Rakaja. She has no desire to spill blood, only an obligation to right a wrong. Zumag Fum will never desecrate another Kajitsu. Yushiha has no fear of the fighting to come. It is the time after.
It appears everyone has arrived. Report to Prefect Kalo, Five Claw, while I confer with the Queen.
I have a good feeling about this. Reminds me of the time I led an assault on Bolog Grunder's dinner party. The roast Yagra were delicious.
Look how the moons converge in the sky. The time is not right for such an event. The lunar lattice has been altered, causing Joan and Jode to merge. Legends say that this occurs when a dragon eats the moon. This one hopes that is only a legend.
An eclipse is an eerie sight, but where are the dragons? The moons come together and the sky grows dark. Ominous, isn't it? And strangely beautiful. Where are the dragons, though? And the remaining Euraxians? As ready as we can be. The Kashidi militia and the Cygnus irregulars have taken defensive positions along the path up to the Moongate. And whatever siege weapons we could get our hands on are set to repel the dragons. Not a chance. We only hope to slow them enough to give Tharn and Chimera the time they need to stop the Moongate from opening, or find a way to shut it if all else fails. If the dragons don't reach Jode's core, we win. Wait, what's that noise? Dragons, go join Chimera. I'll take charge down here.
Zamarak will go.
Get those fires out and ready the ballistic. Move it, soldiers!
Time for reckless audacity and daring do.
Euraxians. The wall has been breached.
Kill the cats and the traitors!
Up there, more Euraxians. Here they come. Prepare yourself. More soldiers. Take them down. The path is clear. We need to reach Queen Chimera. No! Stay with me, old master. Gareshri still breathes, but his injuries are serious. He needs a healer. In the meantime, Zamarak knows what he must do. With Gareshri injured, someone else must take command of this position. Make sure the Euraxians and the dragons encounter enough resistance to slow them down. That task now falls to Zamarak. Yes, my friend. This is Zamarak's chance to finally atone for his past mistakes. Wait, What is this? The dragon horn. This one doesn't know Garishri was carrying this. But go. Now, Five Claw.
Maybe I should have forked left instead of right. Let's try that again. I've got these hooligans, old trout. Let's get to Amda before the moon's completely alive.
The moons have aligned and the gate has opened. Chimera definitely gained something at the temple, but she hasn't figured out how to control it. You were with her. Talk to her. See if she can close that aperture before it's too late.
See how the moons align with the ancient gate. The lattice opens a path to Jode's core. But how did you get the dragon horn? Where's Garishri? And why are the sounds of battle so close? Did the Euraxians overrun our defenses? Garishri? Hurt? And the Euraxians behind our defenses? This is not good. Not good at all. Well, we still have the dragon horn. At least until the power runs out or the fragile relic falls apart. The power, yes. But not the knowledge and experience. I will continue to try to move the moons and close the gate. But you will need to keep the Euraxians from taking this position. I am counting on you, Five Claw. both of you, and bring the dragon horn.
Chimera, wait! When I awoke this morning, traveling to the plain of Jode wasn't on my agenda.
Fiveclaw, we stand on the sacred plain of Jode. The dragons went down into the processional. They seek to breach Jode's core. From the memories I absorbed at the Shadow Dance Temple, Anequina and the Moon Priests came here to honor the moons and set them on their way after their sacred joining. This is also where she helped Kunzari hide the dragon's power. Here, on the plain of Jode, the memories become clearer with every passing moment. Kunzari was able to use Calgronti's own greed against him. The dragon sought the power of Jode's core from the beginning, but Kunzari offered him even more. He offered a way to combine the natural power of Jode's core with the mystic might of his loyal dragons. Calgronti's greed was his undoing. Now, he finally has an opportunity to steal all the stored energy for himself. We must stop him!
Mulamnir, the vermin still pester us. Devour them.
As you say, my brother.
They still guard this sacred place.
The moon priests worship no gods now. They're insignificant monsters.
Avoid Mulamnir as best you can.
Jode's core is close. I can feel it.
Mulamnir, Calgrontiid, and Jode's core. Are you ready for this, Chimera? Calgrontiid is absorbing Jode's core. As long as the moons remain aligned, the power flowing through him is unimaginable.
Get me to that platform, Tarn. I can separate them from the others. You must deal with the near-fight zone. I will divert whatever energy I can to the Dragonborn, but you there.
Dare to face me, morsel. Yes, brother. I will make this quick.
My shield, or the dragon shout will kill you!
Source! G! These fleas, brother. You have my word. Control. Source! G! Die, insect, die! Bartosz!
The moons. I need to finish the ritual. Joan and Jode, hear me.
The power, it belongs to me!
Separate and resume your eternal dance. Now, Five Crown, sound the horn!
You did it, Chimera! You ended the eclipse! But that means...
The gate is closed. We are trapped, yes. But Mulamnir is dead, and Calgrontit has been defeated.
Oh, hello! You always find things in the last place you know.
Calgronti. I'm actually pleased to see you, Captain. Come, Chimera. Your people await their queen.
Thank you, my friends, for everything.
Queen Chimera, have you been injured?
I am fine, just tired. But look, the moons are no longer aligned. Tell me about the dragons, the Euraxians. What is the state of our forces?
Our scouts tell us that most of the Euraxians and dragons fled when the moons parted. Our own troops have not returned, but the Main has sent an envoy.
An envoy from the Main? If you'll excuse me, I have other business to attend to.
We did it, Five Claw! We put the moons back in motion and defeated both Mulamnir and Calgrontit. I want to thank you for everything. Elsewhere is safer today because of you. Just being on the plane of Jode clarified the memories I inherited at the Shadow Dance Temple. I saw the ritual in my mind and performed the actions. Oh, too bad the Dragonhorn did not survive. At least it lasted long enough to banish Calgrontit. He did grow larger with every infusion of power he absorbed, but the horn dislodged him from Jode's core, which allowed me to finish the ritual and end the eclipse. After that... a concern for another day, yes? I cannot be named queen without the Main's blessing. That, however, is my worry. For now, you should rest. We must honor our fallen and learn the fate of our troops at the Moongate. And after that, we will celebrate a new dawn for elsewhere. We have accomplished much, my friend. We overthrew the tyrant, Euraxia Tarn, defeated Zumag Foom and the Betrayer, even killed at least 2 dragons and made the moons move in the sky. If only I could shake this sense of impending doom. Nothing specific, not really. I guess this sense of worry will stay with me until I know the fate of Gareshri, Zamarak, even Prefect Kalo. I would return to the Moongate, but other matters require my attention. Namely, the envoy of the Main. That is just it. I have no idea. Moons, my head pounds. The effort I exerted at Jode's core was not without a cost. Five Claw, could I convince you to determine the fate of my soldiers and our friends? I appreciate your assistance, my friend. Find out what happened to Gareshri and the others, then bring word back to me. Meanwhile, I will try to find a few moments to rest before I meet with the Main's envoy or worry about the other dragons. Far from it. But without Calgrontit and Mulamnir to lead them, they are solitary beasts without a grand plan. Colossal, dangerous beasts to be sure, but not the overwhelming force they were under their dragon leaders. There is little difference between myth and history for the Khajiit Five-Claw. Whether Euraxia discovered the Kunzari stories, and that led them to the Betrayer's head, Or Zumog Fum reanimated the head and then learned the tales. Who can say?